Thanks very much for staying with us. Time now for Eye on Africa with me, Georgia Calvin-Smith. Tonight in Gambia, just a few days before the president-elect's inauguration, thousands continue to flee the country, many fearful of what will be needed to unseat incumbent Yahya Jammeh after his continued refusal to accept defeat. Also, at least 2 people are killed in a double suicide attack in northeastern Nigeria. 3 bombers are suspected of having carried out the dawn raid in Maiduguri, one of them as young as 12. And Monday marks a year since dozens were killed in a terror attack in Burkina Faso's capital. Our correspondents returned to Ouagadougou as hundreds gather to remember the victims who lost their lives in last year's violence. Well, first, it's been an uncertain start of the week for Gambians, wondering how President Yahya Jammeh will respond to the planned inauguration of his elected successor in just a few days' time. Now, on Monday, a Supreme Court judge declined to rule on Jammeh's petition to overturn the results of the December poll. Now, the political crisis has prompted thousands of people worried that things could turn violent to leave the country.
For many days now, ferries leaving Gambia for Senegal have been packed. Since the beginning of the year, the United Nations say several thousand people have fled. They fear a crackdown if Yahya Jammeh refuses to leave power on Thursday, and they are concerned by a possible military intervention by regional powers.
They fear their own life. This is why they are running. Even my own family, some of them have left. You see so many people, they are running, leaving the country, because they fear their life.
Those who are not leaving hope peace will prevail.
When Jammeh took power 22 years ago, no blood was spilt. And it should be the same when he leaves power.
On Monday, Gambia's Chief Justice said he could not rule on Jammeh's wish to ban the inauguration this week of Barrow, the candidate who won the election. Jammeh initially stunned observers by accepting his defeat last month. But then, a week later, the man who'd ruled the country for more than 2 decades said he could not accept the result. West African regional bloc ECOWAS has said that if Jammeh does not cede power, it will consider military intervention. Last week, Nigerian lawmakers voted to give Jammeh asylum if he accepts to leave the presidency. Barrow has the support of regional and international leaders. For safety reasons, he will stay in Senegal until the swearing-in ceremony.
Now, a university professor and a child were killed in a double suicide attack in northeastern Nigeria on Monday. 3 bombers are suspected of having carried out the dawn raid at the University of Maiduguri, one of whom was believed to have been a 12-year-old girl whose device detonated when police patrolling the site in the wake of the first explosion opened fire. And more than 20,000 people have been killed in the jihadist 7-year insurgency. But although Maiduguri is thought to be the birthplace of Boko Haram, Monday's attack is the first on the city's university. Our Chika Odoa joined us now with more. Chika, bearing in mind that the name of the extremist group actually means Western education is forbidden, how has the university escaped violence up until now?
It's been actually a tremendous feat, that the university has been able to actually operate as a safe space for students to operate. Boko Haram has focused its efforts on tertiary schools, high schools, but never actually this university. And, people of Maiduguri, they're always happy about that fact that the university has never been hit. Just 2 weeks ago, actually, there was a lot of celebration of people recognizing the fact that the university has never been hit. And it's really been about community vigilance. Community members have been very active in making sure that the university is safe. And even when you go there, there's always heavy security, and they're very just vigilant about who enters the schools. That's really how they've been able to stay away from all the violence that happens around the city of Maiduguri.
Sadly, that came to an end on Monday. But what does this mean? What can you tell us about the likely state of Boko Haram in light of the fact that they carried out the attack? It's actually the first since President Buhari announced last month that the group had been crushed. Was that a little bit premature?
It was premature. And actually, Buhari, he's kind of saying two things. He's been saying the group is crushed, but just last week he was saying that Boko Haram has not actually been defeated until they find the Chibok girls. So he knows that there's still some loose ends that need to be tied as far as actually combating Boko Haram for once and for all. And obviously we know that Boko Haram is into factions now. They're divided as a group, so they're kind of committing small attacks here and there, and they're using the easiest way to do it, females, just innocent females who are tying these bombs on their backs and going into areas. So that's kind of like the easiest way. It's just the low hanging fruit that they're using to attack people and continue to strike terror into the hearts of people of northeastern Nigeria. But Boko Haram is still here. They're divided, but they're still trying to actually have a statement to say we're here. We're not gone just yet.
Thanks very much. Chika Odo there for us in Abuja. We'll look now at some news in brief. Burundi's begun the process of pulling its 5,400 troops from the African Union's peacekeeping mission in Somalia. They make up about a quarter of all deployed for the AMISOM mission. And President Pierre Nkurunziza has ordered their withdrawal because the EU wants to pay salaries directly to soldiers. As the bloc's imposed sanctions on Bujumbura over its 2-year political crisis, it doesn't want to send wages to the government. The AU's worried the pullout could negatively impact security in Somalia. Staff of energy giant Royal Dutch Shell kept up a strike in Libreville on Monday. They're protesting the company's plans to sell its oil assets in Gabon to a US fund later this month. Now, the $700 million sale's a bid by Shell to cut back on its debts. The industrial action's already seen production in the country drop by up to half. Ford's recalling 4,500 Cougar cars in South Africa after dozens of reports of the 1.6-litre vehicles bursting into flames. At least 39 incidents like that have been recorded. One man reportedly died in 2015 when his Cougar erupted in fire. Ford's disagreed with the victim's family and has said it's not sure his death is related to the fault, which it believes is caused by an oil leak. Now, Monday marked a year since 30 people were killed in a terror attack in Burkina Faso's capital. Across Ouagadougou, tourist hotspots were specifically targeted. Our correspondents returned to the city as hundreds gathered to remember the victims of last year's violence.
Ouagadougou, Kwame Nkrumah Avenue. It was here that 30 people were killed in a terrorist attack a year ago. The splendid hotel was the hardest hit. Today, it's trying to rebuild itself and is slowly bouncing back after going through tough times.
After the attacks, we had practically zero clients. I remember that we had 29 million CFA francs of debt for expenses that were incurred by the CEO. 50% of our rooms are still not functional, and we are asking for help from the authorities so that we can finish the work.
The attack resulted in considerable losses for hotels. More than 3,000 rooms were cancelled. The Ministry of Tourism recognises the economic consequences caused by this drama.
There was a decrease of 9% in tourist arrivals compared to the last quarter of 2015.
There are assurances that the government will provide financial support to establishments most affected.
We've been instructed by the head of state to adopt a number of measures in the short and medium term to alleviate the operating costs of tourist establishments, and above all, to ensure that they are truly actors in the development of our country.
The tourism-boosting measures announced by the government will soon have to pay off. The tourism industry employs 10,000 people and still represents 3.5% of the gross domestic product in Burkina Faso.
Well, finally, a quick look at the Africa Cup of Nations, which has kept up the trend of stalemates in the first game of Monday. Defending champions Ivory Coast made a disappointing start by being held to a 0-0 draw by lowest Group C seeds Togo. 4 of the 5 matches played since the tournament start over the weekend have failed to produce an outright winner. Fans are hoping for a more decisive win from the match between DR Congo and Morocco. It's the second of Monday's Group C encounter, and the score will be delivered to you in our next bulletin. So you're going to have to stay with us for the grand reveal. Thanks very much for joining us here at Eye on Africa. Do so again if you can. Take care.